And now we arrive at the 16-mark question, your final question. Remembering though, on this one you also get 4 marks for spelling, punctuation and grammar. So you want to be spending on this question around 20 to 25 minutes. With regards to your SPAG, you want to be trying to use those Germanic words, Dolchstoß, Lebensraum, Sturmabteilung, all these things to try to get that 4th mark for SPAG. Okay, you'll get 3 for correct spelling, punctuation, and grammar, and you want to push it using those Germanic words, those subject-specific words, to get all 4 for your SPAG. So this is a 16-mark question, which is simply, arguments for and against. However, on the Nazi Germany paper, it's slightly different to on the previous papers, because you will be asked, or you will be given an interpretation. You will be given, it's the same interpretations you've seen already, but you will now be given a different question relating to those interpretations. So for example, and then obviously you'll use the other interpretation for your counter argument. So your sentence starter looks like this. It's slightly different because you have to use the interpretation to answer it. So you will say, there is evidence to support the view given in interpretation 1 that, and then you summarize again what interpretation 1 says. Now here's the thing, you should be comfortable with that because you've already done it, haven't you, in the previous question. By now this is your 3rd question using these interpretations, so you should be fully comfortable with them. You say, for example, and then you're just going to continue to build on what interpretation 1 says, and you're going to support it with your own knowledge. You're going to say, I know more about this than what's in that interpretation because I know this and this and this. Then you're going to say, however, there is also evidence to support alternative views that, and then paraphrase the question, like those expressed in interpretation 2. And that's the start of your counter argument, isn't it? What does interpretation 2 say? And you support it with your own knowledge. For example, and you just build and build and build on the counter arguments. And you say, overall, I think interpretation 1 is or isn't. So here we go. For example, we've got a 16-mark question here, which says, how far do you agree with interpretation 2 about the challenges facing the Weimar Republic in the years 1919 to 1923? And as we've discussed already in the previous videos, interpretation 2, I already know, and you will already know by this point because you've been comfortable with your interpretations. On this occasion, it's talking about hyperinflation. So I would say, there is evidence to support the view given in interpretation 1 that hyperinflation was the main challenge faced by the Weimar Republic in the years 1919 to 1923. For example, and then I would go into the impact of hyperinflation, the disastrous response to it, why it started, the French invasion of the Ruhr, the disastrous response to it, hyperinflation, the main losers from hyperinflation, people who've lost all their savings, people on fixed income such as pensioners, things like that. I detail all the ways in which it impacted negatively on the Weimar government and why it meant that the Weimar government lost support. Then what I do is I go, however, there is also evidence to support alternative views about the challenges facing the Weimar Republic in the years 1919 to 1923, like those expressed in interpretation 2. For example, and then obviously, interpretation 1, I should say, like those expressed in interpretation 1. Now I already know interpretation 1 on this occasion talks about the Spartacists and the Freikorps. So then I'd talk about the problems that they caused. And the Weimar government was slightly to the left and socialist, not socialist, but it was to the left and had a lot of social democrats in it. And it was attacked by an even more left-wing organisation. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to say the problems caused by the Spartacist uprising, the Freikorps, what it's shown about the Weimar government. But then I'm going to go into all my own knowledge about it. I'm going to talk about the Treaty of Versailles, another problem that it faced. Okay? And I've mentioned that. And then you do, overall, I think interpretation 1 is or isn't the main challenge. I agree or disagree. Okay? So the important thing here is making sure you refer to both interpretations and also support them with your own knowledge. Okay, the important things here that you want to be considering are the sentence starters because they're slightly different to previous. The good thing here is, effectively what is already pre-built for you is your arguments for and against. You just need to support them with your own knowledge. Remembering though, like I said on this occasion, interpretation 2 is just about hyperinflation. You want to talk about other factors from your own knowledge, such as the Treaty of Versailles. Okay, so making sure you have separate factors, not just elaborating on the one in the interpretation. Make sure you know other counter arguments as well.